Be careful where you clean. This floor costs more than your entire life. Clara Collins's voice cut through the marble lobby like a knife through silk. 26 years old. Trophy wife to CEO Victoria Miles. Face that belonged on magazine covers. Heart that belonged in a dumpster. Did you hear me? Clara's designer heel clicked against the imported Italian marble. Each tile cost $800. She wanted Anna to know that. Needed her to know that. Anna Adabio looked up from her mop bucket. 42 years old. Black. Invisible. The kind of woman people looked through, not at. Yes, ma'am, Anna said quietly. I heard you. Clara's friends giggled behind her. 3 more carbon copies in their mid-20s, dripping in diamonds that cost more than most people's houses. Good. Clara smoothed her designer dress. We can't have accidents. Not with the wedding coming up. What Clara did next, what she handed Anna with that cruel, practiced smile, would expose everything. A 15-year cover-up. A stolen legacy. The systematic destruction of a woman who'd once changed thousands of lives. Comment where you're listening from. Subscribe to channel. Anna Adabio learned early that invisible women survive longer. Keep your head down. Don't make eye contact. Clean what they tell you to clean. Walk the long way to avoid the executives during lunch. Never, ever remind them that you're human. 42 years of living, but only the last 7 as a ghost. She was born Anna Marie Adabio on a spring morning in Chicago's South Side. Her father, Marcus Adabio, owned 3 small businesses, a grocery store, a dry cleaner, and a community center that served hot meals to anyone who walked through the door. Her mother, Grace, taught at the local elementary school and ran a reading program on weekends. Not rich, but comfortable, respected, known. Anna grew up watching her parents give. Money to families who couldn't make rent. Jobs to teenagers who needed a second chance. Hope to a neighborhood that the city had forgotten. When Anna was 16, her father did something that would change everything. He started the Adabio Foundation. It's not about the money, Marcus told her one night, his weathered hands holding the incorporation papers. It's about the legacy, about making sure our people have what they need to rise. The foundation started small. 5 scholarships for local high school students. Grew to 20, then 50. Mentoring programs, job training, community gardens, GED classes. By the time Anna was 25, the Adabio Foundation was awarding over 200 scholarships a year, running 6 community centers, and employing 73 people. Anna became the director when she was 28. Her father's health was failing, and he wanted to know the foundation was in good hands. You were born for this, baby girl, he'd said, transferring the title. You've got your mama's heart and my stubborn streak. This foundation will outlive us all. He was wrong. But here's what nobody knew. Mini cliffhanger. The foundation's accountant, a man named Richard Chen, who'd been with them for 12 years, had been stealing. Not just thousands, millions. Creating fake vendors, forging signatures, moving money through shell companies Anna had never heard of. By the time they discovered it, it was too late. The foundation's accounts were empty. Richard was gone, fled to somewhere with no extradition treaty. And somehow, impossibly, all the fake companies, all the fraudulent transactions, they all had Anna's name on them. Her signature, her social security number, her authorization. I didn't sign these, Anna told the lawyers, the police, the prosecutors. I've never seen these companies. I didn't take this money. Nobody believed her. The investigation took 3 years. 3 years of her parents watching their legacy crumble. 3 years of community members. People they'd helped, people they'd fed, people they'd loved, turning away, whispering, believing Anna had stolen from them. Her father's heart attack came during year 2. He died believing his daughter had destroyed everything he'd built. Her mother lasted another 6 months. Cancer that had been in remission came back with a vengeance. Or maybe it was just grief. Anna would never know. By the time the investigation concluded, no charges filed, insufficient evidence, case closed. Anna had nothing left. No parents, no foundation, no money, no reputation, just debt. Mountains of debt from lawyers and accountants and investigators trying to prove her innocence. And a new identity. The woman who stole from her own community. She moved from Chicago to New York. Changed nothing about her name because changing it felt like admitting guilt. Found the only job someone with her reputation could find. Cleaning. This is when everything changed. The Millennium Tower stood 63 stories tall in the heart of Manhattan's financial district. Glass and steel and money. So much money you could smell it in the air conditioning. Anna had been cleaning there for 3 years. Night shift, mostly. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Offices, bathrooms, hallways, making the workspace pristine for people who wouldn't notice if she died at her mop bucket. She'd learned the hierarchy fast. Investment bankers on floors 40-50 would walk past her like she was furniture. Tech startup founders on floors 30-39 would occasionally nod, performance wokeness. Executive suites on floors 55-63 wouldn't even register her existence unless she made a mistake. Clara Collins worked, if you could call it that, on floor 60. Assistant to her wife, CEO Victoria Miles. A title that meant nothing, paid everything, required showing up 3 days a week to look decorative. Their first interaction had been 2 months ago. Anna was cleaning the executive bathroom. Real marble, gold fixtures, the kind of opulence that made you forget you were in an office building. Clara had walked in, seen Anna, and frowned. "You're new," Clara had said. Not a question, an accusation. "No, ma'am. I've been here 3 years. Clara had checked her makeup in the mirror, reapplied lipstick that cost $85 a tube. "Well, just make sure everything's perfect. Victoria has investors coming tomorrow." Anna had nodded. Kept cleaning. That should have been the end of it. But Clara Collins had a talent for cruelty. The casual kind. The kind that didn't even register as cruelty to people like her because people like Anna weren't really people at all. What happened next will shock you. The comments started small. "Oh, you missed a spot?" Anna hadn't. "This bathroom smells funny. What are you using?" The same industrial cleaner she'd used for 3 years. "Can you come back later? I have a call." It was 2 a.m. Nobody had calls at 2 a.m. Then the friends started coming around. Clara's little entourage of 20-something trust fund babies who treated the executive floor like their personal country club. They'd sit in the break room, the nice one, with the espresso machine and the view, and talk about Anna like she wasn't 10 feet away, mopping their spills. "Does she even speak English?" one of them had asked last week. "I don't know, I've never really talked to her." Clara had laughed. "Do you talk to your vacuum cleaner?" More laughter. Anna had kept mopping, kept her face blank, kept her dignity tucked tight around her like armor. Because that's what her mother had taught her in those last painful months before the cancer won. Dignity is not something people give you, Anna. It's something you carry. No matter what they take from you, your money, your reputation, your name, they cannot take your dignity unless you hand it to them. Anna hadn't handed it over. Not in 7 years. Not once. But Clara Collins was about to test that resolve in ways Anna never imagined. The wedding invitation came on a Tuesday. Anna was cleaning the break room on floor 60, emptying trash cans that held the remnants of lunches that cost more than her weekly grocery budget. Sushi from that place in Tribeca. Salads from the organic spot with the $22 grain bowls. Clara walked in with 3 friends. Anna recognized them from previous encounters. Madison, daddy-owned hotels. Ashley, trust fund from tech IPO. And Brittany, couldn't remember, didn't care. "There she is!" Clara's voice was bright, performative. "Perfect timing." Anna looked up. Didn't speak. Waited. Clara pulled something from her designer bag. A cream-colored envelope, thick cardstock, the kind that announced money before you even opened it. "I'm getting married," Clara said, like Anna had asked, like Anna cared. 3 weeks from Saturday, the Grand Magnolia Estate. Do you know it? "No, ma'am." "Of course not," Clara smiled. "It's very exclusive. Victoria and I have been planning this for 8 months. The friends giggled. Some inside joke Anna wasn't part of and didn't want to be. Anyway. Clara held out the invitation, actually held it out. "I want you to come." Silence. Anna stared at the envelope. This was a trap. Had to be. People like Clara didn't invite their cleaning ladies to their weddings. "Ma'am, I don't think—" No, I insist." Clara's smile got wider. Sharper. "It would mean so much to have you there. You work so hard. You deserve a night of luxury." The friends were barely containing their laughter now. "Just wear something nice," Clara continued, pressing the invitation into Anna's hand. "Maybe not your uniform. We don't want the other staff getting confused." That did it. The friends erupted in laughter. Not polite chuckles. Full, cruel laughter that echoed off the marble walls. "Maybe she can help clean up after," Madison stage whispered. More laughter. Clara winked at Anna. Actually winked. "See you there!" They left in a cloud of expensive perfume and entitled giggles. Anna stood alone in the break room, holding the invitation like it might explode. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear, from rage. Pure, distilled, 7 years in the making rage. That was her first mistake. Anna didn't open the invitation until she got home. Home was a 4th-floor walk-up in Washington Heights. The elevator hadn't worked in 6 years. The heat was inconsistent. The neighbors were loud. But the rent was $1,800 a month, and that was all Anna could afford after sending money to pay down the debts that still followed her from Chicago. She climbed the stairs slowly. Her knees ached. 42 wasn't old, but 7 years of night shifts and physical labor had aged her body in ways that didn't show in mirrors. Inside her apartment, studio, 400 square feet, everything she owned visible from the doorway, Anna sat on the edge of her bed and opened the envelope. The invitation was beautiful. Embossed. Gold leaf. Font that probably had a French name. "Clara Collins and Victoria Miles request the honor of your presence, Grand Magnolia Estate black tie, 3 weeks from Saturday, 7 p.m. Black tie?" Anna laughed. Actually laughed. The sound bitter and broken in the quiet apartment. Black tie. Clara knew damn well Anna didn't own anything that qualified as black tie. Knew she couldn't afford it. Knew this invitation was a joke designed to humiliate. Show up in her Sunday church dress, the only nice thing she owned, and become entertainment for Clara's wealthy friends. Or don't show up and prove she knew her place. Either way, Clara won. Anna set the invitation on her tiny kitchen counter, looked around her apartment, at the second-hand furniture, the clothes hanging in the closet that barely qualified as a closet, the photos on the wall, the only things of value she still owned. Her parents, young, smiling, standing in front of the first Adabio Foundation Community Center. 1998, before everything fell apart. Another photo. Anna at 28, accepting some award for community service, wearing a dress that had cost $400, surrounded by people who respected her, loved her, believed in her. She looked like a different person, confident, powerful, seen. They have no idea who I really am, Anna whispered to the empty apartment. The photographs didn't answer. But somewhere in Anna's chest, something shifted. Something that had been buried under 7 years of survival and silence and invisible labor. Pride. Not the destructive kind. The kind her mother had carried, the kind that said, "I am worth more than your cruelty. I am more than you will ever see." Anna picked up her phone, scrolled to a contact she hadn't called in 2 years. Janet Morrison. Fashion designer. Best friend from college. The only person from Anna's old life who'd never stopped believing her. The phone rang 3 times. "Anna? Oh my God, Anna? Is that really you?" "Hey, Janet." Anna's voice cracked. "I need your help." What happened next will change everything. Janet Morrison lived in a renovated brownstone in Brooklyn, the kind of place that had been purchased for $200,000 in the 90s and was now worth $3.5 million. She'd built her fashion business from the ground up, started with custom alterations, grew to designing for private clients, now had 3 boutiques and a waiting list that stretched 6 months. She'd offered Anna money during the investigation, offered a job, offered a place to stay. Anna had refused it all. Pride, maybe, or shame, or the bone-deep certainty that accepting help meant admitting she couldn't survive on her own. But this was different. This wasn't about survival. This was about showing Clara Collins and everyone like her that Anna Adabio wasn't invisible, wasn't powerless, wasn't less than. Janet opened her door wearing paint-splattered overalls and a smile that could light up a stadium. "Get in here." She pulled Anna into a hug that smelled like jasmine and expensive coffee. 7 years and you look exactly the same." "I look tired." "Tired is just another word for seasoned." Janet pulled back, held Anna at arm's length. "Now tell me everything, and I mean everything." They sat in Janet's kitchen. White marble counters, professional-grade appliances, the kind of space Anna used to have in a different life. And Anna told her. The invitation. Clara's cruelty. The trap. "She wants me to be entertainment," Anna said. "Show up looking out of place. Let her friends laugh. Prove I know my place." Janet's expression had gone from sympathetic to calculating. She stood up, started pacing. "When is this wedding?" 3 weeks from Saturday." "Black tie?" "Yes." "Grand Magnolia Estate. I know the venue. Did a dress for a bride there last year. Old money. Real old money." Janet stopped pacing, looked at Anna with an intensity that was almost frightening. "Do you want to go?" Anna hesitated. Did she? "I don't know. Maybe I should just ignore it." "That's what she wants," Janet said. "She wants you to know your place. Stay quiet. Stay invisible." She sat back down, took Anna's hands. "But you're not invisible, Anna. You never were. The Adabio Foundation changed thousands of lives. Your parents were heroes. You were a hero." "That's over." "It's not over until you say it's over." Janet squeezed her hands. "And I think showing up to that wedding, looking like the queen you actually are, might be the most revolutionary thing you've done in 7 years." Anna felt something in her chest. Hope, maybe, or terror, or both. "I can't afford a dress." "I'm not talking about a dress." Janet stood up, started pulling Anna toward her design studio. "I'm talking about a statement. I'm talking about walking into that venue and reminding every person there that they don't know shit about who's serving their champagne or cleaning their floors." She opened the studio door. Fabric everywhere. Sketches pinned to walls. 3 mannequins wearing dresses that belonged in museums. "I'm talking about making Clara Collins realize she just made the biggest mistake of her privileged life." Janet grabbed a sketch pad, started drawing with quick, confident strokes. "We have 3 weeks. That's enough time to create something they'll never forget." Anna watched the sketch take shape. A dress, not just any dress. A gown. Simple lines. Elegant. Powerful. The kind of dress that didn't scream for attention because it didn't need to. The kind of dress that made people stop and stare and wonder who you were. "Janet, I can't let you—" "You're not letting me do anything. I'm doing this because you're my friend. Because what they did to you was bullshit. Because your parents would have done the same for me." Janet looked up from her sketch. "And because I'm tired of watching you disappear." Anna felt tears burning behind her eyes. Couldn't speak, could only nod. "Good." Janet went back to sketching. "Now, let me tell you what we're going to do. Comment where you're listening from. Have you ever been underestimated?" The next 3 weeks became a strange kind of dream. Anna still worked her night shifts, still cleaned the executive bathrooms and mopped the marble floors that cost more than her life. Still nodded politely when Clara walked past with her friends, their giggles following Anna down the hallway like ghosts. But now there was something else. Fittings on Sunday afternoons at Janet's studio, the dress taking shape piece by piece. Deep emerald green silk that moved like water. Hand-beaded details that caught the light. A neckline that was modest but powerful. "You're going to walk in there, and every person is going to know you're somebody," Janet said during the final fitting. "Not because of the dress, because of how you carry yourself in it." Anna stood in front of the full-length mirror. Barely recognized herself. The dress fit perfectly, made her look taller, stronger, more like the woman in those old photographs than the ghost she'd become. "I don't know if I can do this," Anna whispered. "Yes, you can." Janet came to stand beside her. "Because you've already survived worse. You survived losing everything. You survived 7 years of being treated like you don't matter. You survived their cruelty and their judgment and their erasure." She met Anna's eyes in the mirror. "Walking into a wedding in a beautiful dress? That's the easy part." Anna also did something else during those 3 weeks, something she hadn't done in 7 years. She went to her storage unit. It was in the Bronx, cost $85 a month she could barely afford, but she'd never been able to let it go. Inside were boxes, dozens of boxes, everything from her old life that she'd salvaged before the debts took the rest. She found what she was looking for in the third box, a wooden chest. Hand-carved. Her father had made it when Anna was 12, taught her how to sand the wood, how to oil it, how to make something beautiful with your own hands. Inside the chest, photographs, certificates, letters, evidence of a life that Clara Collins and everyone like her knew nothing about. Anna sat on the floor of the storage unit, surrounded by boxes, and went through them one by one. Photo. Anna, at 19, standing next to her father at the ribbon cutting for the second community center. Certificate. Anna Adabio, founder and director, Adabio Foundation. Letter. "Dear Ms. Adabio, I wanted to thank you for the scholarship. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. Your foundation changed my life." There were hundreds of letters like that. Hundreds of lives changed. Thousands of people helped. All of it forgotten. Buried. Erased by scandal and lies and money stolen in her name. Anna carefully packed the most important items into her bag. The certificate, a few photos, a letter from the mayor of Chicago thanking the foundation for its service to the community. Evidence, not for a court, for something else, for herself. This is when everything changed. The night before the wedding, Anna couldn't sleep. She lay in her narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the city that never really slept. Sirens, voices, music from the bar 3 buildings down. In her closet hung the dress, emerald green, perfect, terrifying. Tomorrow night she would walk into the Grand Magnolia estate, would face Clara Collins and her friends and everyone like them, would either prove she was more than they thought or confirm every cruel assumption they'd ever made. Her phone buzzed. Text from Janet. "You awake?" "Yeah." "Nervous?" "Terrified." "Good. Fear means you care. You got this, Queen. Call me when you're getting ready. I'm coming over to do your hair." Anna smiled in the darkness. Set the phone down. Thought about her mother. What she would say if she were here. Probably something like, "Baby girl, you were born for this. Not the dress, not the party. The moment when you remind them who you really are." Anna closed her eyes. Tomorrow. Saturday arrived too fast and not fast enough. Anna called in sick to work. The first time in 3 years. Spent the day cleaning her apartment, ironic, doing laundry, preparing like she was going to war. Because in a way, she was. Janet arrived at 4 p.m. with a professional makeup artist named Simone, and enough hair products to stock a salon. "Sit," Janet commanded. "Don't move, don't talk. Just let us work." 3 hours later, Anna stood in front of her bathroom mirror, the same mirror where she'd watched herself disappear over 7 years, and didn't recognize the woman staring back. Hair swept into an elegant updo, makeup subtle but perfect, the dress catching the fading daylight from her single window. She looked like herself again. Not the 28-year-old foundation director. Something different, something stronger, someone who'd survived the worst and come out whole. "Oh, Anna." Janet's voice was thick with emotion. "Your mama would be so proud." Anna touched the necklace at her throat. The only piece of jewelry she'd kept through everything. Her mother's. Simple gold chain with a small cross. "Thank you," Anna whispered, "for all of this." "Don't thank me yet." Janet handed her a clutch purse. "Thank me after you walk in there and blow their minds." The car service arrived at 6:30. Another gift from Janet, though she'd disguised it as something else. "You can't take the subway in that dress. Let me handle it." Anna climbed into the black town car, the dress pooling around her like water. The driver glanced in the rearview mirror. "Grand Magnolia Estate?" "Yes." "Big wedding there tonight. You know the couple?" Anna almost laughed. You could say that. The drive took 45 minutes. Through Manhattan, across the bridge, into the kind of neighborhood where houses had names instead of numbers. The Grand Magnolia Estate sat on 20 acres of manicured grounds, white columns, sweeping staircases, gardens that probably employed a dozen people year-round. Old money. The kind that didn't need to prove itself. The kind that would look at Anna, at who she appeared to be, at the color of her skin, at the assumptions they'd make, and write her off in seconds. The car pulled up to the entrance. A valet opened Anna's door. She stepped out, and every person within eyesight turned to stare. What happened next will shock you. Anna had forgotten what it felt like to be seen. Not looked at, not glanced at. Seen. The way people's eyes followed her as she walked up the stairs. The way conversations paused. The way the woman checking invitations at the door actually smiled, genuinely smiled, and said, "Welcome. You look absolutely stunning." Inside, the Grand Magnolia Estate was everything money could buy and taste couldn't quite achieve. Crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, a string quartet playing something classical and expensive. And people. Hundreds of people. dripping in diamonds and designer labels and the kind of confidence that came from never having to worry about anything real. Anna stood in the entrance, taking it all in, feeling her heart hammer against her ribs. She could still leave. Walk back out. Pretend this never happened. Then she saw Clara, standing with a group of friends, Madison, Ashley, Brittany, plus others Anna didn't recognize. All of them in expensive dresses. All of them beautiful. All of them laughing about something. Clara turned, saw Anna. Her face did something complicated. Confusion, then recognition, then something close to panic. She said something to her friends. They all turned to look. Anna lifted her chin, walked forward. Every eye in the room followed her. Clara broke away from her group, moved to intercept Anna halfway across the room. Her smile was fixed. Brittle. Anna. She said it too loud. I didn't think you'd actually come. You invited me? Anna's voice was calm, steady. It would have been rude not to attend. Clara's eyes scanned Anna's dress, her hair, her makeup, trying to find something wrong, something to mock, coming up empty. You look, Clara struggled. Nice. Very nice. Thank you. Anna smiled. You look lovely too. Congratulations on your wedding. Other guests were drifting closer now. Curious. A black woman in an emerald dress who clearly didn't fit Clara's usual social circle. Well, Clara's voice had an edge. Enjoy the party. There's champagne at the bar, catering stations around the garden. She started to turn away. Clara, Anna kept her voice gentle. Aren't you going to introduce me to your friends? Clara froze, turned back. Her smile looked painful. Everyone, this is Anna. She works at... Clara paused, couldn't say it, couldn't admit she'd invited the cleaning lady. She's an old acquaintance. The friends nodded politely, bored already. Actually, a voice said from behind Anna and I go way back. Anna turned. An older man, 70s maybe, black, well-dressed, leaning on a cane, stood smiling at her. His face was familiar, but Anna couldn't place it. I'm sorry, Anna said. Do we know each other? Charles Montgomery, the man said. I worked with your father, at the foundation. I ran the scholarship program for 5 years before I retired. The room tilted. Charles Montgomery. She remembered now. One of her father's oldest friends. He'd testified during the investigation, had tried to help prove Anna's innocence. Mr. Montgomery. Anna's voice was barely a whisper. Is that really you, Anna Adabio? Charles came closer, leaning on his cane. My God, I haven't seen you since the investigation. Anna finished. Yes. Clara was watching this exchange with growing confusion. Investigation, she repeated. Charles ignored her, kept his eyes on Anna. Your father would be so proud to see you here, standing tall. You look just like your mother, you know. Grace had that same quiet strength. Anna felt tears threatening, blinked them back. Thank you, she managed. Other guests were gathering now. Curious. An old black man talking to a young black woman about fathers and foundations and investigations. Wait, someone said. Did you say Adabio, as in the Adabio Foundation? Charles turned. You know it? Of course. My cousin got a scholarship from them. Changed his whole life. Went to Howard, became a doctor. The woman, 50-something, expensive jewelry, kind eyes, looked at Anna. Are you related? Anna opened her mouth, didn't know what to say. Charles answered for her. This is Anna Adabio, founder and former director of the foundation. Her parents started it 30 years ago. The crowd went quiet. Clara's face had gone pale. Wait, you ran a foundation? You're a cleaning lady, Anna finished. Yes, I clean your office building. I've been cleaning it for 3 years. She turned to face the growing crowd of guests, all of them staring, all of them reassessing, trying to fit this new information into their assumptions about who belonged where. My family started the Adabio Foundation in Chicago in 1992, Anna said. Her voice was steady, clear. We gave out scholarships, ran community centers, helped thousands of people. She paused. Then our accountant stole everything, millions of dollars, and somehow all of it appeared to have my signature, my authorization. Murmurs through the crowd. The investigation cleared me, eventually, but by then my parents were dead. The foundation was gone, and I had nothing left except debt and a reputation as the woman who stole from her own community. Anna looked at Clara, really looked at her. So I moved to New York, changed nothing about my name because changing it felt like admitting guilt, and I found the only work I could find with my reputation. I clean your floors, Anna continued. I empty your trash. I make your workspace beautiful so you can come in every morning and never think about who makes that possible. The crowd was dead silent now. And you invited me here as a joke, Anna said to Clara, as entertainment, to watch me show up in something inappropriate and prove that I know my place. Clara's mouth opened, closed. No words came. Anna reached into her clutch, pulled out a photograph, the one of her at 28, accepting an award for community service, handed it to the woman who'd mentioned her cousin. That's me, Anna said. 15 years ago, before I lost everything. The woman looked at the photo, looked at Anna. Her eyes filled with tears. My cousin talked about you, she said softly. He said you changed his life. Anna pulled out another photo, her father standing in front of the first community center, handed it to Charles. I remember this day, Charles said. His voice was thick. Your father was so proud. He knew this was just the beginning. More people were gathering. Anna pulled out the certificate, founder and director, Adabio Foundation, started passing it around. Clara stood frozen. Her friends had backed away. The crowd's attention had shifted completely away from the bride and onto Anna. I didn't come here for revenge, Anna said. Her voice carried across the now silent room. I came because you invited me, and because I wanted to remind myself of something my mother told me before she died. She looked at Clara. She said dignity is not about money or position or titles. It's about who you are when nobody is watching. It's about what you carry inside yourself that nobody can take away. Anna picked up the photograph from the woman, the certificate from Charles. Put them back in her clutch. You looked at me and saw a cleaning lady, someone invisible, someone whose entire life was worth less than your marble floor. She took a step toward Clara. But I looked at you and saw someone who has everything except what matters. You have money, but no purpose, status, but no legacy, a beautiful wedding with hundreds of guests, and not one of them looks at you the way my community looked at my parents. Clara's eyes were wet now, mascara starting to run. Shame, Anna said softly. All this money. Can't buy class. Then Anna turned and walked towards the door. The crowd parted for her like the Red Sea. Charles called after her. Anna, wait! But she didn't wait. Didn't run. Just walked with her head high and her mother's necklace gleaming at her throat. Behind her, she heard it start. A single person clapping. Then another. Then more. By the time Anna reached the door, the entire room was applauding. She didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge it, just walked out into the cool evening air. The valet brought her car. She climbed in. The driver looked at her in the rearview mirror. Short party, he said. I said what I came to say. The car pulled away from the grand Magnolia estate, away from the applause, away from Clara Collins and her shattered wedding and her broken assumptions. Anna looked back once. Through the window she could see chaos. Clara running toward a side exit, guests gathering in groups, talking, the wedding planner looking panicked. Anna smiled. Not because she'd destroyed Clara's perfect day, because for the first time in 7 years, she'd been seen. Share this story. Drop your experience in the comments. The next morning, Anna's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Charles Montgomery, the woman whose cousin got the scholarship, 3 other guests from the wedding, all of them wanting to talk, to help, to offer something. Janet called at noon. "I saw the video," she said. "What video?" "Someone recorded your speech, posted it on TikTok. It has 2 million views." Anna sat up in bed. "What?" "You're viral, babe. Cleaning lady reveals she founded major charity. People are sharing it everywhere." Anna pulled up TikTok on her phone, found the video immediately. There she was, in the emerald dress, telling her story. The camera had been shaky, someone filming on their phone from the crowd, but the audio was clear. The comments were overwhelming. "This made me cry." I would have done the same thing. The way she carried herself, that's dignity. Someone find this woman and give her everything she deserves. More calls. A reporter from the New York Times wanting an interview. A producer from a morning show. Someone from a podcast about social justice. Anna ignored most of them, but she answered when Charles Montgomery called again. "I've been making calls," he said without preamble. "Talking to people, old board members from the foundation, community leaders, people who remember what your family did." "Mr. Montgomery." "We want to restart it," Charles said. "The Adabio Foundation. I've got commitments for $500,000 in seed funding. 3 major donors who remember your parents. They want to see the foundation rise again." Anna couldn't speak. "But we need you," Charles continued, "not as a figurehead, as the director, the real director, the one who knows what the community needs because you've been part of it, because you've survived in ways most of us can't imagine." "I don't know if I can—" "Anna," Charles's voice was gentle, "you've been surviving for 7 years. It's time to start living again." 6 months later, Anna walked into the newly opened Adabio Foundation Community Center in Harlem. Not as big as the old ones in Chicago. Not yet. But it was a start. Scholarship program. 15 students funded for their first year. Job training program, starting next month. Community garden, breaking ground in the spring. Anna stood in the main room, fresh paint, donated furniture, everything still smelling new, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "I saw what you're doing. The foundation. I wanted you to know I'm sorry. Clara." Anna stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it. Some apologies came too late. Some people you forgave not because they deserved it, but because carrying the anger took up space you needed for other things. Clara Collins had taught Anna something important that night at the Grand Magnolia estate. Not that revenge was sweet. It wasn't, really, but that reclaiming yourself, standing in your truth, refusing to stay invisible even when the world wanted you to disappear. That was power no amount of money could buy. Anna put her phone away, walked through the community center, touched the walls that would soon hold photos of scholarship recipients, the kitchen that would serve hot meals, the classroom where they'd teach GED courses. Janet appeared in the doorway. "Ready for the ribbon cutting?" "Almost." Anna picked up a framed photograph she'd brought from storage. Her parents, young, smiling, standing in front of that first community center in 1992. She hung it on the wall. "Now I'm ready." Outside, a small crowd had gathered. Former scholarship recipients, community members, Charles Montgomery with his cane, the reporter from the Times who'd written Anna's story, and in the back, wearing a simple dress and sunglasses, someone who looked a lot like Clara Collins. Anna pretended not to see her. The ribbon cutting was simple. A few words from Charles. A speech from Anna that was shorter than anyone expected. My father used to say that legacy isn't about the buildings you build or the money you raise. It's about the lives you touch, the people you help rise when they didn't think they could. She paused. The last 7 years taught me something he never could. That sometimes you have to fall before you can understand how to help others rise. That being invisible shows you who the invisible people really are. That surviving makes you stronger than winning ever could. Anna looked at the crowd. This foundation isn't about me. It never was. It's about every person who's been told they don't matter, who's been looked through instead of at, who's been treated like they're less than because of where they're from, or how much money they make, or what they do for a living. She smiled. We see you. We always have. The crowd applauded. The ribbon was cut. People streamed into the community center. Anna stood outside for a moment, watching them go in. Charles came to stand beside her. Your parents would be proud, he said. I know. You did it, Anna. You survived. And now you're thriving. Anna thought about Clara Collins standing in the back of the crowd, about the marble floors she used to clean, about the 7 years of being invisible. I did more than survive, Anna said. I remembered who I was, and I decided that was enough. Have you ever been underestimated? Drop your story in the comments. 1 year later, the Adabio Foundation had grown beyond Anna's wildest dreams. 3 community centers in New York, scholarship programs serving 80 students, job training that had placed 43 people in careers, a waiting list for services that stretched 6 months. The video from Clara's wedding, now with over 20 million views, had sparked a national conversation about class, dignity, and the invisible labor force that kept America running. Anna had been interviewed by NPR, featured in Time magazine, invited to speak at conferences. She'd said no to most of it. The foundation was the work. The rest was noise. But she said yes to one thing, a documentary about her family's legacy, about the rise and fall and rise again of the Adabio Foundation, about what it means to lose everything and find yourself on the other side. The film premiered at a small theater in Harlem. Anna sat in the back row, watching her life play out on screen. Her parents, the foundation's early days, the investigation, the collapse, the 7 years of cleaning offices, and the wedding. That moment when she'd stood in front of Clara Collins and everyone like her and refused to be invisible anymore. When the credits rolled, the audience stood and applauded. Anna slipped out before anyone could stop her for photos or questions. Outside, the city hummed with life. People rushing to dinner, street vendors calling out, music from an open window. Anna walked slowly, breathing in the cool evening air. Her phone buzzed. Janet. Where did you go? Everyone wants to talk to you. I'm walking home. Anna, you can afford a car service now. The foundation is funded. You don't have to. I know, Anna said, but I like walking. It reminds me where I came from. She hung up before Janet could argue. Walked through neighborhoods that had once felt dangerous and now just felt like home, past the building where she still lived. Hadn't moved, even though she could afford to now. Past the bodega where she bought her coffee. Past the church where her mother's favorite hymn sometimes drifted through open doors on Sunday mornings. Eventually, Anna found herself at the old apartment building where she'd lived during those 7 years. Stood outside, looking up at the 4th-floor window. Someone else lived there now. Someone else climbed those stairs when the elevator didn't work. Someone else was probably invisible to the people who mattered. Anna hoped they knew what she knew now. That being invisible was temporary. That dignity couldn't be taken. Only given away. That surviving made you stronger than people who'd never had to fight. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Anna almost didn't answer. Hello? Miss Adabio? A young woman's voice. My name is Teresa. I got your scholarship, the Adabio Foundation scholarship. I'm calling because I wanted to say thank you. Anna's throat tightened. You don't have to thank me. I do, though. I'm the first person in my family going to college. My mom cleans houses. My dad does construction. They work so hard, but they couldn't afford to send me to school. The girl's voice cracked. Your scholarship. It changed everything. I'm studying to be a teacher. I want to come back and help kids like me. Kids who think they don't have a shot. Anna closed her eyes. Thought about her father. About all those nights he'd stayed up late, working on grant applications, making phone calls, believing that one scholarship could change everything. You're going to be an amazing teacher, Anna said. And when you're ready, if you want to come work with the foundation, we'll be here. Really? Really? We're always looking for people who remember where they came from. They talked for a few more minutes. Teresa told her about her classes, her dreams, her little sister who wanted to be a doctor. When they hung up, Anna stood on the sidewalk and cried. Not sad tears, not even happy tears. Something else. Relief, maybe, or fulfillment. The feeling of a circle closing, a legacy continuing, her mother's voice in her head. You were born for this, baby girl, not the money, not the recognition, this, helping people rise. Anna wiped her eyes, started walking again, toward home, toward tomorrow, toward a future where she was no longer invisible, no longer defined by her lowest moment, no longer trying to survive, just living, just being, just carrying her dignity like her mother taught her. And that was enough. That was more than enough. That was everything. So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible? Have you ever been in a room where people looked through you instead of at you? Where your entire existence was background noise to their important lives? Have you ever been judged by your current circumstances instead of your full story? Dismissed because of your job title, your neighborhood, your bank account? Have you ever watched someone treat you like you were less than, and known deep in your bones that you were so much more? Anna Adabio felt all of that for 7 years, and she could have stayed invisible, could have accepted Clara Collins's invitation to be entertainment, could have not shown up at all. But she didn't. She walked into that wedding wearing a dress that cost less than the ice sculptures, stood in front of hundreds of wealthy strangers, and reminded every single person there that they didn't know shit about the people they overlooked every day. The cleaning lady who founded a charity that changed thousands of lives. The invisible woman carrying a legacy bigger than their marble floors and their designer labels and their old money combined. That's the thing about invisible people. The ones you ignore. The ones you walk past. The ones you treat like furniture. They're carrying stories you cannot even imagine. Anna's cleaning the office building where Clara works. But she's also rebuilding her foundation, teaching young people that dignity isn't about money, proving that falling doesn't mean failing. Clara's married to a CEO, living in a penthouse, wearing clothes that cost more than most people's rent. But she'll never have what Anna has. Purpose, legacy, the quiet strength that comes from surviving hell and coming out whole. Drop your story in the comments. Have you been underestimated? Overlooked? Treated like you don't matter? Have you ever wanted to show up somewhere and remind them exactly who you are? Share this story, not the sanitized version, the real version, the one about the cleaning lady who used to run a foundation, The one about the trophy wife who tried to humiliate her. The one about a wedding that turned into a reckoning. Because here's what they don't tell you about dignity. It's not about having more. It's about being more. It's not about the clothes you wear or the car you drive or the neighborhood you live in. It's about who you are when nobody's watching, when you're mopping floors at 3 a.m., when you're crying in your tiny apartment, when you're surviving on hope and stubbornness and your mother's wisdom. Ana Adabio learned that the hard way. She lost everything: her parents, her foundation, her reputation, her place in the world, and she gained something nobody could ever take away: herself. The Adabio Foundation is real now. 3 community centers and growing. 80 scholarships this year. Hundreds of lives changed. Clara Collins is still married to her CEO, still living in luxury, still posting perfect photos on Instagram. But she knows. Every time she walks into that office building, past the janitors cleaning the marble floors, she knows. You never really know who's mopping your floor. You never really know whose life you're dismissing with your careless cruelty. You never really know when the invisible woman is actually a queen. Subscribe to channel. Stay just. Stay loud. Stay free. And never, ever let them convince you that where you are now is all you'll ever be. Ana Adabio didn't. Neither should you. Neither.